Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday morning. It's about 10 after 8 on the 17th of July. Got up at 7 o'clock, slept in a little bit today, took the dog out. So no makeup, no nothing. We're going to do this Rita petal for you. Supplies you're going to need, which I will leave a list at the end of the video, is I am using a 10-inch wreath form that I purchased through Amazon because I could not find any of the 10-inch through Dollar Tree, or Michael's was a little bit too expensive, so was Hobby Lobby. So I bought this on Amazon. This ended up costing me $2.25. So you'll need the wreath. If you make a smaller one with an 8-inch, you'll have less petals that you're going to use and less material. You'll need a piece of mesh, which is the canvas mesh. This is 7 little butt squares per inch. I did not find the 5 per inch. So I have gotten these little zip ties that I get from Harbor Freight that are thinner, that can go through the 7-inch better. You can get I think these are, actually no, these aren't from Harbor Freight. These are from the DT Dollar Tree store. They're $1. There's 120 of them in there. It's less than a penny a piece. Then I use the 7.5 inch. They're thinner, still good zip ties. There's 60 in here for $1. So you're going to need your zip ties. Depending on what kind of center we use, we're going to need these little U-pins here. I actually cut these down depending on what size the styrofoam ball is that I use. You are going to need your glue gun. You are going to need material. Now, the last fall one that I did was 3 different colors, but this time I'm only going to use 2 colors. It's your preference, depending on where you're putting it in, your front door, back door, in the home, customer's decision of what they like. I'm using a Poly-Burlap. I usually get all my Poly-Burlap from Craft Outlet because they're the least expensive out of everyone I've seen, including Amazon. This one is in a burgundy. This Poly-Burlap is in it's got beige, moss, brown, and cranberry burgundy, along with the cream in it. So I'm using that to go with this. I didn't have any moss green, because if I had moss green, I would have used that. That's on back order, so I'm just going to use these 2 colors for right now. So 2 rolls of material with a 10-inch frame, U-pins, hot glue, zip ties, something to clip off your zip ties when you get done with them, a pair of scissors so you can cut your mesh, canvas mesh to go inside, and a wood mine. I bought mine from Walmart for, I think it was like $12. Now when they're on, they do put off fumes, so you're going to have to make sure, if you're not in a well-ventilated room, make sure you wear a mask when you're using these. And I believe that's it for now. I am going to get material together, show you how to cut a petal, and then we will get started. I'll be right back. Real quick, before we go any further, depending on what size wreath form you're using, you need, like I said, the little canvas strips. In order to make the canvas fit your wire frame, I found these wonderful little canvas pieces. These are at Joann's. I think I got like, I want to say like maybe 5 or 6 of them for like $2. They were on sale. And I thought, this is great, because for a 12-inch wreath, look at this. You might have to cut it a little bit, but it really, really does fit very well in there. So what you do is, let me move the camera down real quick, is you take your canvas mesh, even if it's like this size, and you put it down over the canvas mesh, your wire frame. You take a marker, and on this you have 1, 2, 3, 4 little, I guess, rows. So on the inner row, you're going to go just on the outside of it here, and you're going to mark with a marker so that you can just cut around it and flip your wire frame over, put it down. On each crossbar, I put a zip tie, and then I put another zip tie in between, and that's how I keep my wire frames, or my canvas, attached to my wire frame. So just thought that if you wanted to, if you're doing a 12-inch. This is a little bit too small. Buy a 1/2 inch for the 14-inch. I know they do make bigger ones of this. This is a 9-inch circle. So if you happen to find them at Joann's and they're big enough to do inside of a 14-inch, then you're good to go. And when you can get 6 of them for like $2, that's pretty good. That's pretty decent. Or Walmart or Amazon has sheets of these that are, I think they're 8 by 12. And for any frame, like once again, put down your frame, take your marker, go around the outside of the inner bar here, cut it out, attach it with zip ties. And like I said, for me, I always, depending on how many crossbars, I put one on each crossbar and then I put one in between, so that secures it a little bit better. So I thought I would give you that advice. I'll be right back with showing you how to cut the material. Okay, we're back, and two most important things. This is a cutting mat. This mat is 36 inches wide by 24 inches. I got this through Amazon, and I think it cost me $22. It was rolled up really well, flattened out, no problem. Sometimes you get them in a long box. And also I have a glass cutting board that's got little feet on the bottom. If you don't want to spend the money, and I think I spent probably $26 on this glass cutting board. You can use a glass cutting board that you would get from Walmart. I think Dollar Tree might have smaller ones, like they're only 12 inches. This is about a 1/2 inch thick, so it's pretty decent. You can even use like old refrigerator shelving, that's a glass. Sometimes you can even use the back of a tin, like a cookie sheet if you wanted to. Anything so that you don't ruin your cutting mat that you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on another piece of material. I always roll out my material, and I always, in between your little rows here, you want to make sure you have a clean cut edge. So this is the tip I am using. It's like a little flat edge, I guess. Hold on one second. Can you see where the point is? And then it's got like an angle on it. I use it this way. So what I do is I go in between the rows, not too slow, not too fast. And as you're going through, it's actually cutting through, but it's sealing your poly-burlap or deco mesh. I've even used it on I've used it on deco mesh that had jute in it. It's a little bit harder to go through. So do the edges. You are going to cut your material in 10-inch width strips. Your poly-burlap, and usually deco mesh is 10 inches wide. Sometimes if you have the jute or the fabric mesh, it's 10.5 inches, depending on where you get it from. So I am going to cut these in 10 inches wide pieces. And I'm just going right between the rows. So that seals it as you're going through. And I'm going to cut a couple of these for you. I know that I said I didn't have any moss green. I have this olive green, which I'm going to do a couple petals, and then I'm going to kind of see that if it's really going to look okay in this wreath with the other color that I have. If it doesn't, then we won't worry about it. Okay, go right through. See the fumes that are coming off, so make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. Okay, so with your curl side up, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your finished side is on the bottom, your finished side is on the top. Taking the corner, and I'm going to pull it up. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make this in a triangle, an even triangle. Now, even though you cut it 10 by 10 and you don't have it in an even one, I'll show you a little trick that I found. So I'm going to flatten it out, make it in a triangle so it looks like all the sides are even on this side and on this side. Then I'm going to take my ruler. I only have my plastic ruler now, so I kind of move it over just a tad, and then I cut along beside it, but you can get a metal one and that would be better. Okay, I'm going to take the wood burner again, using it the same way, go from the top to the bottom, and I'm going to cut this in half. And when I do this, it's actually going to seal the bottom half here. So I'm going to go through the top, and then I'm going to go kind of a little slow, cut all the way down. Okay, And what it does is you have this little bottom piece here. Here's your finished edge. This is your finished edge on this side. And when you take this side and you turn it the other way, there's your finished side. Both of these sides are basically sealed. You have like a little pocket. See? Okay, if when you put them down and the bottom is kind of coming over, which this one isn't, if you flip it over, you can always see. This is my trick that I do lately. I take the edge of my wood burner and I go just slightly near the finished side. So if the other side is near it, and if you want, I would take your ruler and put it next to it, because this would actually, and go, you don't want to go too much because you don't want it to, you just want to, what you're trying to do is you're just trying to melt them together. So if it's over, you're meshing them together. So I kind of go through and I hold it flat and I'm meshing them together. And while I am doing this, this is actually, it's sealing this side together. So to be honest with you, there's no opening on either side. So you've got a bottom meshed, you got a top mesh. See where it's open here, but the rest of it is sealed. So it kind of makes your petal a little bit better. You don't have an opening. It gives you more of a sharper point for your petal. Take it, like I said, you gather it up. I put my corner underneath. I use these wonderful little rubber bands that I get from like Dollar Tree, little rubber bands. And if you want to make all your petals first, I wrap it around the bottom. I've shown you this before. And I manipulate it. So you have a clean, I mean, look at that, clean, crisp petal. It's great. And then all your petals are done. Then all you have to do is just pop them on your wreath form and you're good. Okay, like this one, it's not crossing over. So I'm going to kind of fold it down a little bit more. This one will be a little bit more open. So I'm going to crunch it up. And you can tell by your edges if they're, you know, if you sealed them enough that they're not fraying. Plus, when you get done with your putting all your petals on, I usually spray all of the petals with a Rust-Oleum. It's called 2x Clear Matte. And I manipulate the petal again. And here you have a beautiful petal. And what I do is I take all my material. The material that we have here for the Poly-Burlap, I cut all my material. So I either go ahead and I put rubber bands on them. Now this material here, which it says it's Poly-Burlap mesh. This says it's just Poly-Burlap mesh too, but for some reason, this is a little bit stiffer. And all Poly-Burlap is different. I found that out using it over the last 10 months. This one I did the same thing too. I ended up, if the edges were off, sealed them up. So I'm going to leave these all undone like this. So as I'm putting it on the form, I'm just going to wrap it and we're going to zip tie it on since I have two different types of petals. So I am going to put you on hold, come back. We'll start putting all of our petals on our wreath and we'll start making a beautiful Rita petal wreath. Be right back. We are back. What I have decided to try right now, and I may take it apart when we get through the first row or second row, is I've added olive green. What I did is on the crossbars, this 10-inch, like I said, most 10 inches have 5 crossbars, but because I bought this through Amazon, the only thing they had available was the 10-inch with the 4 crossbars. So at each crossbar, I am taking my olive green Poly-Burlap, and I'm taking my 7-inch zip tie. Now I am taking it underneath on the second, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. On the second row, I'm going under the crossbar. Can you see how that looks there? And I'm doing it this direction so the petal kind of lays better. Put down my petal. I hope you can see probably. And then I'm gonna, well, it would be nice if we had the zip tie in the correct way. Make sure the zip tie is always in the right direction. The 7-inch probably would be, I apologize, underneath. Put your petal down. I'm gonna try to do it this way if you could see. And I am going to zip tie. I know it's a lot of zip tie to have to cut off, but pull it all the way down. And then take your little nippers. These I got, I think they're Titan, and I bought them from Amazon, and I believe they were only $16. I got them like 10 months ago, so they should be more. And I always take the little head of my zip tie and I kind of push it down because I don't like them sticking up. And then for the crossbars now, we have our olive green. Now it's up to you as far as your colors, so I'm just gonna, this is a wreath that I'm gonna put together and then we're gonna fly with it. I'm either going to keep the petals the same, it depends. Like when I'm creating something that I've not done this style or of material together before. So on the outside, I'm going to put my burgundy that I've already made and got the zip ties. And actually, I'm gonna, bear with me here. When you're creating, I always pray about it. I want to kind of see what would be better to use. Okay, I don't like the look of that one, so I'm gonna get another one. I don't like it when my things are, I'm trying to see what would be better. I'm gonna put this next to here. I believe it looks a little bit better. Put the zip tie underneath the second bar. So your end that you're gonna put it through is actually in front of you. I'm going to leave about a knuckle length down. So actually the bottom of your petal is touching the third bar. Zip it down, and then I'm going to push it over. I like my petals to kind of like overlap each other. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to put a burgundy one now underneath. Now if you want, you can put all your zip ties in place, and then all I have to do is just pop all your petals down. I am going to try the Unique in the Creek board, so that will petals down. And I'm going to slide it over so it just overlaps just a tad. Let's see if I put another one. I think we should be fine on this one. I'm going to try another one of these. These I didn't do my little rubber band, so I'm doing them as we're going along. Zip tie underneath. Because you have to, you can move your petal over. You can kind of move your zip tie until it starts getting a little bit too crowded for that section. Like I said, you want to make sure that you're touching the bottom, but you have enough on the top. Zip it over, and I'm going to just move it over. I got that one out really tight, which is good. Okay, let me cut these off real quick. Sometimes I wait till I have them all down before I put them over. Okay, we're going to do another burgundy one. And then to be honest with you guys, I may do the other one with all burgundy. We'll have to see. I don't know. It depends. It's like when you're creating, you're putting something together and then you decide as you go. That's me. I'm always like that. This one doesn't want to be popped up enough. Okay, and now the next one. I'm going to pop this in there before we do it. Sorry, I'm pulling it away. Form it. Now it might be easier if you put all your rubber bands on all of your petals before you put them on, so you're not trying to hold down the petal and the zip tie at the same time, especially if you have issues with arthritis, which I do. Now when you're putting these through, you also want to make sure that you have enough room in between, because your next petal is going to kind of go over that. Okay. Crossbar. Let me look at this. What do you think, people? Let me lift this up a little bit. Sorry. This is what the colors are going to look like right now. I'm trying to go like yay or nay on it. I am not sure if I really like it or don't like it. Let's try the first row and then we'll see what's going to happen. So right now we have approximately crossbars. So you're putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each section. So that would be 5, 10, 15, 20 petals, which would be, because you're doing alternating all the time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue with this first row doing the same thing, and then I'll come back once I see how it looks. I don't know if I'm going to take off the green, keep the green. I haven't decided yet, so I'll be back. Give me a few more minutes. Thanks. Okay, we have decided to take the green off, and right now we have got what this looks like as far as all the colors for your first row. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the same order and I'm going to go down not to the third bar, but just where the fourth bar is, and I'm going to go just right near it and start placing my petal just a tad over where the color above it is, and go all the way around with the same structure. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to go in. So here is your second bar, the third bar, and here's the fourth bar where your mesh is. And I'm just going to go to down below it, put my zip tie in, kind of come up 2 little squares over, pull it up, and place your petal where it's just tad over, and zip it down. So see how that is falling over into place here? And I'm going to do that with each individual other one. So we're going to take the second one. So basically we have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 20 plus you had the 4, so that we had 24 petals on the first one. We will have 24 petals on the second one because we're going to go exactly alternating, same pattern on the second row. So let me put this one in, and I'm going to go just 1 notch over, 1 bar over, make sure my zip tie is in correctly. Just 2 little squares over, and I know this is really tedious. If you want, you can always just put all of your zip ties in. Oops, hold on. Sometimes it's really hard to see. I'm going to take my second petal and move this down a bit. Put it down. You might be able to use your 4.5 inch. I know these are 7.5 inch long, but you might be able to use your 7.5 inch zip ties. And what I'm doing here is there. So put these up. Okay, so what I'm going to do then here with my second row is I'm just going to continue to go over all the way around. So I'll have another 24, and then it will be like that. So I will be back as soon as I get the second row on, and we'll go from there. See you in a bit. Okay, everybody. I had started doing the alternating, and I decided that I didn't like, once again, designing as we're going along. I did not like the alternating for the second layer. So I decided to do the same color in the burgundy. So I have another 24 petals in the burgundy. Now on the third layer you know, and as you're just, I guess, sorry that I'm so like back and forth in this video, but when you design something and as you're going along and you're making it, unless you are remaking something that you've seen, you're designing something of your own. So as I was going along, I just found out that I wanted the second color to be all one, so you had the accents of the other one behind. Now for the third row, I am going to alternate. So right now we have 24 petals on your second row, which is actually your first row of petals, but it's the second bar. Then on the inner bar, I have 24 petals of the burgundy. I think that looks really, really sharp. So I'm going to start with the third row, which is going to be on the inside of our mesh, and I'm going to alternate. And when I get done, then I will figure out how many petals I have, and then we'll decide on the center. So like right now, I think I'm probably going to go in where I'm going to go down probably at least an inch. I'm going to go an inch down, and I'm going to see how many petals I can go through on this. But I think that just really, really, really looks sharp, don't you think? I think it looks great. I think it looks wonderful. So let me, I'm really excited about this one too. So let me start on the third row, and it's going to be on the mesh. I'll figure out how many petals we're going to have between the alternating colors of what we had on the first row, which are these two. And then I will be back and we will go from there. And I'm really excited. See you in a little bit. I am back, and guess what? I made another change. I started doing the alternating and decided that it would look better if we had the same color in the middle. So right now we have a total of 62 petals. This is all about creation too. So I have 24 on the first row, which is on the second bar. I have 24 of the burgundy on the inner row on the mesh. I have total of 14 petals on the middle, so that's a total of 62 petals. Now all we have to do is make our center, and we will be all set for our wreath. And this will actually be the size of 23 inches in diameter. It's probably about 2 inches in depth right now, so now I just have to decide on the center, and I think I'm going to go something with the burgundy, and I don't know if I'm going to do it on a round disc or I'm going to do something sparkly. So this is how creating a flower wreath is. You just kind of like, I don't know, I always have to pray about it for a while, and as I'm putting everything together, I choose my material, and my magic goes crazy, and God just kind of like puts everything in place. So here's my wreath, and I will decide on the center, and I will come back in a little bit once I've decided with the end result of this wreath. So we'll be right back, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video so far. I know it's gone back and forth, but this is how I create. I'll see you in a little bit. We are going to finish up this wreath today. Like I said, we have this here. What I did is I took a 3.8 inch styrofoam ball, and I actually painted it like a dark burgundy underneath. And then what I did is I took the same material that I used for the burgundy mesh that I have here, and I covered it twice with this, pulled it around. I have these little U-pins that I use. I probably showed you earlier, these little U-pins, stuck them in the back, and then I have these little T-pins that I put the wire down, put the U-pins in, had to cut them down so they didn't go through the ball, and then put a lot of hot glue here, then put the piece of felt over it, put the T-pins on each corner and on the side to hold this. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it in the middle of this middle of our mesh here, and I try to even it up all the way through. So you're going to feed your little wire through. These in wrong, bear with me one moment. Feed it through. Okay. Pull it up through here. You kind of make sure that the ball is centered. And then once the ball is centered, don't be pulling down on it. And then I take the wires, like so, and I twist it around. And then what I do is I kind of like twist them, lay them flat, then I pull it up and I continually look at the wreath to see whether or not it is even or not. I'm constantly going to play with these petals because I'm seeing how they are. And you just kind of like put it in the middle. And then what I'll do is I'll take a piece of felt and I'll cut and cover the back by placing 4-inch zip ties around so it finishes off the back. And this is our wreath that we have. And I think that it looks really, really pretty with having the burgundy color here.